I tried going the distance against a FIDE master. This is round 4 of the Millersville Open in Millersville, Pennsylvania, at Millersville University, and I'm playing a legend of Pennsylvania chess, Carl DeMelt. This is my 6th time playing him, I think, and yeah, I've had 2 draws and 3 losses before this game. And let me switch sides. Let's go do it from my perspective here. And yeah, so I'm playing him for the 6th time, and I feel like I'm close to getting a better score against him, but so far I haven't been able to achieve it. So this is a no engine recap to the very end of this video, and the time control is game in 30, delay 5. So kind of quicker games than usual. He plays e4. I played d6. This has been I play the Philidor through the perk move order, so I'm going to play e5 eventually. So e5 and d6 is the Philidor. So I do the perk move order, and I've been having a lot of fun with this opening. It is definitely a lot of fun. And after knight of 6, he plays knight c3, and I play e5. And the first time I played this against Carl, he exchanged on e5, and he did so again in this game. We swapped, we traded queens, and then in the first time I played him, he played bishop g5, bishop c4, bishop c4, and then he castled. And this game, he went knight f3, attacking e5. I defended e5. I learned from my other game, one of my games where my opponent went knight f3, I went knight bd7, and I was just going to be much worse in that game because of knight g5. But in this game, I learned from that game, and I learned I was supposed to go knight or bishop d6 to defend the pawn. So then I'm not blocking my own bishop, and my other bishop gets developed. So it's very nice. So he plays knight g5, I play king e7, he plays bishop c4, I play rook f8, and he castles. So pretty straightforward so far. And here, I'm not sure if I made the right decision. I think there's a lot of different ways, black can play. I thought mine made a lot of sense, but there is some concessions that I did make with the way I played. Firstly, I think I can just go c6. I think going c6 is totally fine. I think c6 and b5, he doesn't have enough time to go bishop e3 and double up rooks on the d file. So I think I can go c6 here just fine. Maybe he would have played a4 to stop my queenside expansion, which I would have been happy to see. c6 and a4, that's a good inclusion because I'd helped develop my pieces and stopped him from hopping in his knight while he played a move on the flank. So I think that would have been fine. If he played bishop e3, then I can go b5 and a5 like I typically do in a lot of these Philidor positions. And so I went h6 though, which I think is totally fine. And I have bishop e6. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to develop pieces and trade. And then here he plays knight h4. So he wants to go knight h5, or knight f5, I should say, and attack d6, attack g7. And it's actually not easy for me to do. I would love to play g6 here, but my h6 pawn hangs. And so oh shoot, I would love to just scooch. I would love to scooch these pawns up 1 square each. That's my ideal setup. My ideal defensive setup on the king side is just to scooch all 3 of these pawns 1 square forward, pop. Well, and also not hang g6, of course. But that would be the ideal scenario. But I can't do that. So rook d8 here. Open up the f8 square for my bishop. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go for a defensive setup where after knight f5, I'm going to bishop f8, just guarding everything here. And I thought, yeah, my bishop's on his home square, but who cares? He defends his pawn. Right now, if he just develops his bishop, I'm threatening to take and to take his knight. So I'm threatening to win a pawn. So he defends his pawn with his pawn. So then if I take, he can take back with the pawn, open up his rook, and his pawn is defended. I play knight c6, and there's actually a huge debate. Do I go c3, or do I go knight d7 to knight c5? All these were actually questions I was trying to answer, and I was taking way too long. I thought for 6 minutes on this move, which is way too long for a game in 30. I was thinking, I do 1 6-minute think, 1 8-minute think, and then bam, I used up half my time on the clock, and I'm going to lose the game. That's just I'm so bad with time management, which is my issue. But I played knight c6, which is a totally reasonable move. And my idea was that I actually, yeah, the main reason I thought I could go knight d4 here, but before playing knight c6, I thought I could go knight d4, but I just can't. Because after bishop takes, pawn takes, knight b5, he's setting a fork and he's setting the pawn. It's not that hard to calculate. Like, this is very, like, yeah, this doesn't work. Like, why did so I played knight c6 with that in mind, but I couldn't play it. And I wanted to play rook d7, but I was actually kind of afraid of, like, rook a1. And then if we go here, then we can trade. And if he goes here, we can trade. And I was like, oh, wait, is this... But then, like, you know, this endgame looks tough. But then I realized at the end of it, like, I have knight b4, just forking his pawns. And that seemed good enough for me. Like, yeah, he can take my pawn, but I can take his pawn and, like, whatever. Like, if he takes this pawn, I can play b6. And if he goes here, then I can probably just go here and try to trap his bishop with knight c6 coming up. So he can't really take that pawn. Also, if he could take that pawn, that allows me to go g6 here, moving his knight back, and then I can take his pawn. So I was like, it's like, I thought it was like totally fine. But anyways, so I was a little bit worried about it, about him putting a rook on d1 to begin with, but then I realized it's probably totally fine. And I would love to just like play knight g8 to guard h6, to go g6, h5, and f6. Like, I legitimately like would love to do that. But if I ever just do a retreating move like this, like this just seems very unpleasant. Like, I'm allowing him to get his knight in with tempo, and if I defend, I don't know what he's going to do next. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe this is completely fine for me, but why am I putting all my pieces on the back rank like this? Why am I setting up for the next game? Like, it's just... Yeah, I like allowing knight d5 for no reason seemed unnecessary to me. Like, I'm gonna double up rooks first, and he played rook f2 to guard, you know, c2 if I ever go knight b4. So one of my ideas was like, okay, maybe here I can go knight b4, attacking the pawn after he defends, and I can go c6, then he can go a3, and then I can move my knight back, and then I can reroute to c5. Like, my king is on e6, which is nice, but at the same time, it's actually kind of weak here, and maybe if my king was on h7, I could play g6, which actually seems kind of decent. So, like, I thought my king was going to be good in this end game, you know, with its queenless middle game, but it's actually like maybe a little bit, you know, not so well placed. It was actually, so I don't think I really did a good job with this position. But yeah, so he played rook f2. Well, first he reinforced his knight with g4. You know, I would love to play like h5 and then g6. Like, let's say he went like, you know, a3, whatever. I can play h5 right now. And then if like bishop here, I could go like knight e8 or something like that and play g6 on the next move. Like, that's totally legit. Like, I think that's totally legit. Well, there's knight d5, but my knight on my knight on d covers that square right now. But he has a lot of attackers on this e7 square. Oh my goodness gracious. This is not very comfortable. But I can soon go g6 and f6 though, which is the good thing. So I think this setup might actually work for me. So maybe I could have gone like, but the thing is, after rook d7, you know, getting out of this pin. Like, the thing is, if I do h5 now, he does have this pin, which is kind of annoying, to be honest. Because if I go like bishop e7, he can take, and I guess I can take with my knight. So I guess this might be okay for me. But I'm putting my pawns on the light squares, but giving up my dark square bishop, so that's usually not that good. So I'm like, so if he doesn't play g4, I can play h5 and respond with bishop g5 with like knight e8 or something like that. But I have to worry about like knight d5, of course. So I just felt like for the entire game, I didn't get the setup I wanted to, and I didn't get everything ideally. You know, it was not an ideal situation for me. So I ended up going b6 here to not allow bishop c5, and maybe that wasn't necessary. Like, maybe I can just go knight e7 here, but I was like, bishop c5 looks kind of annoying actually. If I go like knight g6, then he can take, and suddenly my g7 pawn is hanging. I guess I could go b6 now, but then if I take, he can take, and then this pawn hangs anyway. So I actually thought it was like kind of necessary to play b6, but maybe I'm just not being creative enough. Maybe I didn't have to go b6 here. Maybe I did have alternatives, but I thought it was kind of a clever move to play b6 to stop bishop c5. I thought that was clever of me. But he plays ace4. I move my knight back because I really want to move this knight back to g8 or e8 to play g6. Or f6 here, and so He goes knight g3 here. So because he wants to go g5, but then his knight's a bit more loose with my knight seeing it. So he goes knight g3. I go knight f g8 here, guarding, avoiding g5 with tempo. Because if g5, one of my ideas with, if he does play g5, I can go knight h5 here, control f4, control g3, and in this case, it would blunder a pawn, I think. Well, he could take, and then I could take, but then he can push. Yeah, but then I can go like bishop e7 here, and if he takes, I can take, and now this pawn is weak, so I'm probably doing pretty okay here. This pawn is weak, this pawn is hanging, knight f4 is coming. This is kind of annoying, but I can just go c6 and like after it takes. I'm probably doing totally fine here. Like I said, this pawn is weak, this pawn is weak. He can go rook here, which is... No, he can't. He can go rook here, though. He can go rook here. Then I can just go rook here and win the pawn, and I'm doing totally fine. That was my thought, at least. So I go knight e7. He goes knight g3. I go back with my knight and put my other knight on g6 here, attacking h4. And it's very obvious he wants to get the f4 pawn break in. He wants to play f4 and pressurize the f file. So trying to negate the importance of the d file, because the d file is important because it's the only open file. But if he opens up the f file, then the f file is also important, and it diminishes the importance of the d file. So he plays knight f5, guarding his h4 pawn, and now I just play c6 here. I'm stopping him from hopping in his knight, and then he plays king g2, and I just give a check. I give knight f4 check. He snaps it off, but now the f file is closed. It is not going to open, which is great news for me. He plays knight e2, and here, if I play bishop c5, trapping his rook, he can give a check. And actually, my king is so naked here, but now he can move his rook. His rook's not trapped. But I played g5, and he took on g5. Okay, for some reason I thought I could play bishop c5 now, but this is still a check. This is still a check. And it feels like my king is so close to getting checkmated here, actually, which is kind of funny. Wait a second. He can't do that. If I go bishop c5 and he goes check, I can go here. Oh, but then he gives this check. Okay. I see. Yeah, this is not good for me. So he takes, I take, and he plays c3 here. So now after bishop c5, it looks like his rook is trapped, but he can go knight d4. And we do a trade. He takes with the pawn, and now this pawn on c6 is a little bit weak, perhaps. And I develop my knight. Attacks out the pawn on c6. And maybe what I should do is just like take the pawn take the knight, bring it back, and just take this pawn on the next move. So if he takes, I can take. Like, this is probably the way I should play. But I got really low on time here. I think somewhere around like here, I got down to like 1 second, and I had 1 second for the rest of the game. Here, I probably just should take his knight. If he takes the pawn with check, I can bring my knight back, and then allow him to take, but then take here. And then I think I'm doing totally fine here. I'm doing totally fine here. But instead of that, I defend the pawn first, and then I take the knight. But now there's this pin on d5, so I shut it down with c5. Like I said, I have 1 second on the clock. I'm doing really badly here. He controls the open file, brings his rook into g5 to attack my pawn. I defend. He attacks, and I double up my rooks on the g file, which was not necessary. That was not a good move. And then he gives a check. I go forward with my king. Goes rook c6, maybe planning to go rook c7 here. And then I go f6 here to defend my pawn on g5 and open up my rook's defense on the 7th rank. But now he goes rook d2, and it's game over here. If I defend against the checkmate, he can give a check. So right now his rooks crisscross applesauce my position. If I take, this is going to be checkmate on the next move. I'm in a checkmate mating net. If I didn't go f6 here, I could maybe go rook f6 here and a rook c7, rook h8. And if he takes my pawn, I can go rook h8. And now it's a classic case of Uno reverse. Now he's the one in a checkmating net. Although in this case, my pawn on g5 hangs. Okay. So at some point, oh man, that's really tricky actually. So at some point, like if he takes, I do have to go f6 at some point. And here he doesn't have the mating net prepared yet. So so if he goes like here, I do have enough time for this because now this check I can get out. And I have checkmate on the next move. So it's very, very tricky. But I wasn't up for the task, and when this position happened, I simply got checkmated on move 41. So with this game, this is my 4th loss against Carl Dermelt, I believe, and yeah, he just outplayed me, and he played faster than me, and yeah, I didn't really have anything to show for it, so I'm really sad about the game. But it is what it is. You know, Carl's a really good player. He's a legend of the game, and I'm glad I got to play him. So with that being said, I'm just gonna hit the game review, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.